Hello everyone, and welcome to another off-road update. After the first 3 rounds of the 2025 GNCC season, the preseason favorites for the XC2 crown had established themselves ahead of the rest of the field. After round 4 of the Camp Coker Bullet GNCC in South Carolina, it was more of the same. With the wave of the green flag, the XC2 riders fired off the line and headed to the first turn. Out of the corner and leading the field across the whole shot stripe for the 3rd race in a row was Bell's Electric Husqvarna's Toby Cleveland. Behind him came Australian Mason Simmons in his first GNCC of the year, with Grant Davis, Gus Reardon, and Josh Toth rounding out the top 5 heading into the woods. 5 miles into the first lap, and it was points leader Grant Davis coming through with the lead aboard Landers Racing KTM, already catching the back of the XC1 field, starting a minute ahead. Behind Davis came teammate Gus Reardon, with Phoenix Racing Honda's Cody Barnes getting his best start of the year, running 3rd. Running in 4th was whole shot winner Cleveland, with Simmons running 5th ahead of Flat Rock Motor Club Factory Gas's Jason Tino, with West Coast visitor Leighton Smale coming through ahead of Josh Toth to round out 8th. Jesse Ansley and Jonathan Johnson would round out the top 10. At the 9-mile mark, and Davis was still out front with Reardon and Barnes close behind. The front 3 all working to the back of the top 10 of the XC1 class, and by the end of the opening lap had moved themselves well into the overall positions on adjusted time. Simmons came through in 4th with Cleveland back in 5th and Tino in 6th. Smale ran 7th ahead of Toth with Ansley and Johnson still rounding out the top 10. Two miles into the second lap, and Davis had stretched his lead over Reardon, who had extended a gap of his own back to Barnes. The front 3 well out in front of the rest of the XC2 field. Simmons still ran 4th with Tino rounding out the top 5. Toth had moved up to 6th as Johnson had moved all the way up to 7th. Nick DeFeo, after a poor start and a crash on the opening lap, came through in 8th ahead of Brody Johnson, with Ansley coming through in 10th. At the end of lap 2, Davis ran 10th physically, still with a gap over Reardon, with Barnes in 3rd. The front 3 separated from each other. 4th through 6th were Simmons, Tino, and Toth, as the Johnson brothers ran 7th and 8th ahead of DeFeo and Ansley. Starting lap 3, Davis ran 7th physically on track with the XC1 field. Reardon was 11th physically as Barnes closed up the gap from 3rd, running 13th physically on the racetrack. The front trio still holding spots in the top 5 overall on time adjustment. Simmons still ran 4th ahead of Tino and Toth. Brody Johnson had climbed into 7th, displacing his brother Jonathan, back to 8th as DeFeo and Ansley still rounded out the top 10. Nearing the end of lap 4, and Davis ran 3rd physically on track and held the overall lead on adjusted time. Reardon and Barnes were still going at it for the number 2 spot in class while running 7th and 8th physically and inside the top 5 on time adjustment. Toth had clawed his way into 4th in class at the expense of Simmons, who ran out of fuel in his KTM, while Jason Tino rounded out the top 5. Starting lap 5, and Davis was still in control of the overall lead in hand. Reardon and Barnes were still stuck together in 2nd and 3rd, while Toth and Tino ran 4th and 5th. On the final lap, Davis had a comfortable lead as Reardon and Barnes were still going at it for the final 2 spots in the XC2 podium. Toth and Tino rounded out the top 5. Later into the lap, though, Davis would break his handguard on a tree that affected the use of his front brake lever and lost time to the overall lead. When the checkers fell, Grant Davis took his third victory in a row while claiming third overall for the afternoon. Reardon would hold off Barnes for second while finishing fifth overall on the day, Barnes claiming sixth. Josh Toth would finish fourth in class and ninth overall, while Jason Tino captured fifth in XC2 and 10th overall for the afternoon. Sixth would go to Brody Johnson, with Nick DeFeo taking seventh for the day. Eighth position was Dakota DeVore, with Michael DeLosa and Zach Davidson rounding out the top 10.
Well, you're up front the whole race, and then last lap, little mishap, altered how you had to ride the bike, but great ride today.
Yeah, I'm pumped with how I rode. I got out. I was third off the start going into the first turn, and then I passed some guys fast right within the first couple turns, and I just really tried to rip that first lap to get to the XC1 guys, and I got to the back of them, started picking them off slowly. And then I got to third, I think, and Stu was right behind me, and I'm like doing the math a little bit, and I knew Ben and Liam were ahead of me. And I knew they were going to be strong today. They always are. And last lap, I hit a tree, and my front brake lever got stuck in on me the whole last lap. So every little tree I tapped, it just crashed me. But other than that, I'm pumped with my ride. And up on the podium, overall podium on this track, that's good for the big bikes. It's good.
How was the track as a whole? Obviously, you know, it's sand on top of a hard base, but everywhere that I saw, it looked really rough, and a lot of the roots were coming up.
Yeah, honestly, it's a different type of hard compared to Florida. Like, it's more square edge. It's definitely a little bit harder on I feel like my back, honestly, it just jars my back the whole time. But other than that, I'm pumped. I'm still there. Ben's got me now probably for the overall points lead, but hey, I'm still right there. Keep it going. Thank you.
Thank you for watching, everyone. Round 5 of the 2025 Grand National Cross Country season heads to Monterey, Tennessee at the Old Gray Event Amphitheater for the Old Gray GNCC. I'll see you guys there.